You may already be familiar with the concept we're going to talk about in today's video, the accumulated emotional pain we carry around. It's a pain we've usually carried since childhood. Perhaps you also believe in the possibility of inheriting this pain from past lives. If you're not comfortable with that idea, then leave it aside. This emotional pain from childhood is partly personal. It is intrinsically linked to early life experiences, which for everyone are painful in some way, and for some much more than others. In addition, we absorb a portion of the collective pain of the environment in which we were born, be it the country, the energy field, or some specific place we frequented for a long time. So it's important to point out that there is a personal and a collective dimension to the emotional pain that resides within you. The pain body, to summarize briefly, is not always active in most cases. It has a dormant stage and an active stage. When it's dormant, you may not even realize it's there. Periodically, its tendency is to seek nourishment through additional experiences that are emotionally painful, because that is the vibration or frequency corresponding to this energetic entity, which is, in fact, what the pain body is. Emotion is a form of energy. It is consciousness, and everything is consciousness. Emotional pain is a burden that everyone carries, but understanding its nature allows us to uncover the deepest levels of our own inner journey. Consciousness temporarily takes on a form, and emotion is one of these forms, a transitory expression that consciousness adopts. The emotional pain of childhood often leaves traces of that particular emotion. It is not completely released. Then, when you reach the age of 18 or 20, you carry a body of pain. For some, this burden is very heavy, while for others, it's less impactful. The pain body periodically needs to feed on experiences of emotional pain. In other words, it craves emotional pain, needs it, and creates it primarily in two ways. One of these is by generating conflicts with people close to you, so that negativity is returned, and so you find yourself embroiled in relationship drama. The preferred place for the body of pain to renew itself is in intimate relationships. It's the perfect environment in which to feed. It has a kind of borrowed intelligence, its own cunning. It's like a mischievous little gremlin, knowing its partner's weak points and touching them to provoke a response, stimulating the drama. And it usually works, because when you press the right buttons, it awakens the other person's body of pain, which joins in the spectacle. At that moment, when the pain body is active, you don't want to get out of it. If someone were to ask you whether you wanted to stay in the drama or be free, you would probably get very angry because it wouldn't be you talking, but the pain body expressing itself through you. You could say something like, "Leave me alone. This is serious stuff. I don't want to hear what you have to say. Leave me alone with this pain body nonsense." The pain body doesn't like to be recognized because it means that the light of consciousness is shining on it. Now, what if you don't have an intimate relationship? That becomes a little more complicated. How can the pain body feed itself? Oh, believe me, it has the perfect solution. When it needs to feed, it rises up in your mind and controls your thinking. Every thought becomes negative, whether it's about you, other people, life in general, or politics, always a deeply negative thought. The thought is not just a thought. It is addicted to thinking negatively. Thoughts like, "My life is so terrible," "That person is terrible," or "This is absolutely terrible," whether predominantly anger, self-pity, whining, or screaming, don't matter. You get stuck in a cycle of negative thinking, which continually feeds you because thought is also energy, and each thought is a temporary form that consciousness takes. At this point of reflection, it is crucial to understand the dominance of the pain body over the mind and how it perpetuates its own existence. Each thought is a small entity, a form of energy, and the pain body devours these thoughts, especially the negative ones. It loves your negative thoughts because The more negative they are, the stronger it gets. But after a while, it gets satiated, like after a big meal when you can't eat anymore. And then, suddenly, it goes back to sleep, and you wonder, what was that all about? Sometimes when you're in a relationship, you reconcile, and everything is fine again. It feels like you've both woken up from a strange nightmare. But the strange thing is that this nightmare repeats itself, sometimes every 2 weeks, 3 weeks, once a week, who knows? It could be once a month or every 3 months. It varies a lot, but it comes back again and again. Until you begin to recognize it for what it is, consciousness cannot enter. Once you recognize it, it can no longer directly use your mind to renew itself, because you recognize it directly. You can say, here it is. I can feel the emotional pain. And then, perhaps, it's not completely controlled by it when it tries to create new dramas in the relationship, or when it arises in your partner, and you can clearly see that some dark energy takes over. It can be uncomfortable when you first notice it, because it's the first time you see the body of pain in your partner. For many people, this is the moment when they question whether they have chosen the right person. But keep in mind that understanding the pain body cycle and its influence on relationships is a fundamental step towards finding wisdom and inner peace. Another curious aspect about the pain body is that it's a vibrational entity. Sometimes it can attract other entities that float in this universe invisible to our eyes. There are many things we can't see, as our senses are quite limited. So, there are entities whose vibrational frequency corresponds to that of the pain body. This is similar to how, in the world we perceive with our senses, there are plagues such as rats or infestations of cockroaches in our house. There is a psychic correspondence, as if it were cockroaches or rats in the invisible realms that can sometimes be attracted to strong pain bodies. When this happens, the pain body unites with these entities, almost like a fusion, making the pain body incredibly heavy and, in certain cases, even dangerous. This often happens to people who are either very unconscious or have some kind of addiction that drastically reduces their consciousness or have some deficiency in their mind. For these people, their pain body attracts other entities and they can commit terrible acts. That's not to say that they are always under this domination, but it's there, waiting. And sometimes people who know these people ask, how could he have done that? I knew him. He was such a nice person. The invisible influence of the pain body and vibrational entities is a very dense theme, but it's important to understand. It's a topic that leads us to a deeper reflection on the complexity of the human experience. It is possible for some entities to attach themselves to your pain body, and as you bring more awareness to it, which simply means being aware, you may realize whether or not there are other entities that have joined it. This may not be as bad as the entities that drive someone to commit terrible acts, but smaller things, little insects, invisible entities can attach themselves to you. And this is very common. These entities are not domineering. They are little things that attach themselves to your body of pain. However, if they are left unattended, the situation can get worse. As you become more aware and direct your consciousness, the pain body finds it difficult to keep these entities attached to it, especially if they are not domineering. So remember, the pain body doesn't like to be recognized because when you identify it and can feel it by putting your attention on it, it doesn't like your attention because it can no longer use your mind. If you direct your attention to it, things can suddenly come out as if to say, I can't take this anymore. This person is becoming too aware. This kind of thing comes out, and the body of pain becomes lighter. When we release a significant part of our pain body, it's as if a big piece of us disappears, although we don't know where it goes, but it simply goes. The transmutation of the pain body occurs because the pain body is energy, trapped energy, which, when we focus on it, becomes liberated. I compare it to the flame of consciousness or the flame of presence. This energy then becomes part of your presence. It is transmuted into presence. It takes on a higher frequency. It is also consciousness and becomes present. You could compare it to a piece of ice, which is very hard and with which you could hurt someone. But when it is transmuted, it becomes soft and fluid. And when it's transmuted even further, it becomes vapor and you can't even see it anymore. This is a bit like consciousness manifesting itself in different forms, from inanimate matter, which would be a totally dormant or almost totally dormant consciousness, to progressively more awakened degrees of consciousness in different forms of life, such as plants, animals, human beings, and awakened human beings. All you have to do is continue to be aware of it, especially when it arises and when it is present in relationships. So just reflect. Is it still using your mind? Be aware so that the emotion doesn't rise to the top of your mind and you start thinking negative thoughts. When this happens, know what's going on. And remember, it's actually your pain body that loves your negativity. And recognizing this is wonderful. In this way, we can say that transmuting the pain body into conscious presence is an essential step towards finding inner peace. Each time that we recognize and transmute this dense energy into conscious presence, we are taking significant steps towards our spiritual evolution. The flame of consciousness that burns within us dissolves the bonds of the past and lifts us into a state of clarity and serenity. When we choose consciousness over unconsciousness, we take a step towards our true spiritual nature. Every time that we direct our attention to the light of consciousness, we dispel the shadows of the pain body and come closer to our divine essence. So I invite you to look within, recognize the moments when the pain body manifests, and choose conscious presence. On this path, we will find the wisdom and knowledge that illuminate our being, and we will realize that negativity is just a passing veil that covers up the beauty of our true nature. I've talked to spiritual mentors about this, and some believe that people with more intense pain bodies have a more powerful incentive to awaken spiritually than those with relatively mild pain bodies. It's as if you were in a nightmare. If you're in a nightmare, your motivation to wake up is greater than if you were in a relatively pleasant dream. The nightmare isn't so pleasant, but that's okay. But when you're faced with a monster, that's when you really want to wake up. But I believe that even the body of pain, with all its intensity, can be the spark that propels us towards enlightenment. Because in the darkest moments, we also find the motivation to turn on the light of consciousness. Thank you for embarking on this journey with me. If this video resonated with you, I invite you to like and subscribe to our channel. Share this video with others so they can benefit from this message. And don't forget to leave a comment below sharing your thoughts, reflections, and experiences. Thanks again for watching and for joining me. Take care and see you soon.